Rams of Vikings.
Holy shit, that's right.
Finally, after years of questions, after years of speculation, after years of, frankly, hope, we finally got to see the thing that so many have been desperate to see. Seth Kaiser is not here for this episode of Only Weird Games!
Thanks for listening to KC Sports Network, proudly presented by Emprise Bank. If you're thinking about starting a business or know someone who is, check out Emprise Bank's SBA loans. It's always good to know your options, and they can be your partner in possible.
Actually, just for the sake of clarification, as I, Joshua Brisco, and Nate Taylor are with you here at The Jump, Seth will be joining us for a little portion of today's show, joining in progress to talk about the Chiefs acquiring DeAndre Hopkins. Seth just had a quick little core muscle surgery to get done, so just a quick little thing to kind of scoot him on over to the side, and here we are. Nate, there are 500 different things that we could talk about that have related to what's happened in the last 48 hours. We will save the future of the wide receiver room, the most phantom of phantom injuries, and maybe real ones. We'll figure it out. You're going to tell me and the rest of these good voyeurs what's actually happening there. But the simple truth is, on the front end, the Chiefs have made a wide receiver acquisition, as we've been talking about them needing to do for, I would say, roughly 2 years. And DeAndre Hopkins is a Kansas City Chief. We heard him talk today after Andy Reid went up there and said he knew nothing yesterday. He returned for a rare back-to-back-to-back Andy Reid availability trio. I imagine he's still going to talk to you guys tomorrow. A lot of Andy Reid, a lot of DeAndre Hopkins, a lot of offense talk. How have your last 48 hours or so been?
Pretty good. I don't really have any complaints. I think I am here to provide analysis and context and a little bit of historical referencing. It was this week after they had beaten the San Francisco 49ers that the Kansas City Chiefs made a blockbuster trade for Kadarius Toney. That was supposed to be one of the big fixes to the wide receiver room. Now, since then, the team has drafted, Rasheed Rice, Xavier Worthy. They have signed Hollywood Brown. They have re-signed Juju Smith-Schuster. And there was a little window, just a little one, as Chris Jones told us today, about, hey, if DeAndre Hopkins gets released by the Arizona Cardinals, who are going into full rebuild mode, you should join the Chiefs. And DeAndre Hopkins wanted to join the Chiefs. But there's this thing called money, Josh, that really got in the way. And a team that thought it could contend in the Tennessee Titans, who happen to have more cap space. And what happened, ladies and gentlemen, on Tuesday night, after I had written this column saying that they should have made a trade by the time you were reading these words. Everybody should give a lovely golf clap.
Who am I applauding for?
To the Tennessee Titans.
Oh, yeah. Hell yeah.
The first team to realize their season's over.
Yeah. That's brave.
The trade deadline, as we've told you all, is still 2 weeks away. November 5th, election day. Get the vote out. You guys can all vote now because I've already voted. You're not gonna hold me up.
You're good.
The Cleveland Browns traded Amari Cooper, still thinking they had a chance this season.
Yeah.
This is a bit odd, and I I understand it. Like the Raiders could no longer live with this man in their house, so
Well, it's
that
because of the Taco Bell that he had.
oh, of course, yeah,
It's too chaotic.
that's because his boo came calling, and everything he said to you, everything he promised to you, everything he told you in the pods didn't come to fruition. And it's hard when a breakup happens when you've only known the person for less than 40 days. It's really hard. Thank God Love is Blind is over. Thank the Lord. Thank God Love is Blind is over. But shout out to the two couples who did get married.
Wow, big wins.
Big wins. By the way, it's weird to know somebody's wedding day that you have no relation to whatsoever. Because did I look at the Washington Wizards schedule last year? You damn right I did. And that's how I found out when these people got married. So, with all that to be said, the Tennessee Titans were the first team to truly, officially say, we're done here, kids. Week 8, we're out. For some reason, the Carolina Panthers didn't want to do that. For some reason, the New York Giants don't want to do that. In fact, New York Giants are going to bring everybody back. Joe Shane. Joe Shane. It's the junior varsity group, Buffalo.
It's the tree. Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
it's the JV group. They're bringing back the crew from Buffalo. And that's really what happened. I think the Chiefs, in a move of motivation, got the Tennessee Titans to be the first team to acknowledge we're done. Now, it was funny to be up late Tuesday night to know that, like, I gotta get some sleep, guys. At some point, I have to sleep. Diana felt the same way. To all of a sudden wake up and be like, oh,
5:30 in the morning?
And I love you guys. I really do. I love all our listeners, all our viewers, voyeurs. Just a cascade of he's older than 30. And
I haven't looked at the comments. It's all just the number 32.
yes. He's older than 30. Hey, Josh. Does your wife change her mind?
Not as often as I'd like her to, am I right?
Well, see, I think I'm on the other side of the tracks, which means
okay.
She can change her mind at any point. And thus, there you go.
Yeah.
We have changed our minds. What do you mean you don't realize this? What do you mean things can change? One of the best things about this market, which we're going to get into, is the fact that things did change. The fact that Cooper Kupp was a thing, even though I think that was mostly a leverage play. And Tennessee saying, okay, fine. Do you want him or not? Because the Carolina Panthers, they got Bryce Young to look at, and he has to throw to Deontay Johnson.
Who do they play this week, Nate? You know who they play this week?
Go ahead and tell me, because I ain't looked at the schedule.
It's the Denver Broncos, who are not necessarily the defense you'd like to remeasure your number 1 overall quarterback with. That's probably not going to be a fun, unless Bryce Young's had a really relaxing 3 or 4 weeks off the field. Cool, buddy.
No, he's got Deontay Johnson. It'll go swimmingly. He's got Deontay Johnson and Adam Thielen. So yes, he's older than 30. Yes, things did change. I think the Chiefs would have preferred someone younger. Actually, I know that they would have. But if you are going to go shopping without a 3rd round pick, knowing that you need somebody to come in and play immediately, realizing that experience does matter, then this is the best solution they found, which is being up on the phone at 4 a.m. convincing everyone that DeAndre Hopkins is the right guy for this particular team at this exact moment. And whether he's 32 or 42, we're going to throw him the ball against the Vegas Raiders because he only costs us Josh a 5th round pick unless we go to the Super Bowl and he plays every down past this game against the Raiders.
That for me, and I will, Tucker is here to defend the honor of Dave Canales, that I know that Andy Dalton got in a car crash. I'm saying that the game is also going to be one for Bryce Young. And that's my concern. Everyone was okay. Everyone was okay, right?
Yes.
That's an okay.
Yes.
I think okay. Fantastic.
Well, everybody, here's how you know society is a certain way. Andy Dalton and his family are safe.
Yeah.
What about the other people?
You know what, Nate? That's a good point. That's a good point I had not considered, and I have not kept up with the details.
I don't
the
think
details
he ran
like
into a tree. So
yeah. I don't know who kind of hit what. I would love to think that if something terrible came out of that, we would have heard about it. But if something terrible did come out of it and I didn't hear about it, I apologize in advance.
Yes.
Before I actually learn the details,
yes,
I am preemptively and just for a blanket. I'm preemptively sorry most of the time. So there's always a veneer of that I like to try to keep with me just in case.
Yes.
The thing on the Hopkins trade for me, and Seth is probably going to hop in here in 5 or 10 minutes, as he's written a film review. We can talk more about the process of it until then. But for me, as somebody who feels like I frequently am here to defend the value of draft picks and rookie contracts while Seth is trying to send every draft pick to 6 or 7 different NFL teams, at all times. I am very cognizant of the value of draft picks, the value of keeping as many of your draft picks as possible, keeping your higher draft picks. And last draft in particular for me was the most in sync, I think, my philosophy and Brett Veach's philosophy have ever seemed, where we could give a little. They move up for Worthy and Kingsley. They get back picks as they send picks away, so they end up with the same total number. Meanwhile, undrafted free agent rookie Chris Roland Wallace may end up playing significant snaps next week. He played significant snaps last week. We'll see how that goes. But the conditional element of this makes it really easy. I do want to know what you know about the MCL issue at some point. That's for me, putting my negative out in front. The only thing that freaks me out is that he's a 32-year-old receiver that is playing through an active knee injury.
Yep.
I imagine that the Chiefs are certainly well aware of and hopefully pretty comfortable with that. But those conditions, as you said, he has to play 60% of the Chiefs' offensive snaps from here on out. I'm sure that's accounting for playoff snaps as well, and so he'll play less against the Raiders than he will in 2 weeks and 3, etc. But 60%, and the Chiefs get back to the Super Bowl. I don't like playing the philosophical game of was McCole Hardman worth a 6th round pick? He caught a touchdown in the Super Bowl. Well, I don't. Yeah, but but Kadarius Toney returned that punt. Could McCole Hardman not have returned that? I don't. We just can't really do that math. We can't run it back the other way. That's fine.
Regardless of how you feel about the calculations and the future assets, they won those trades. Definitively.
Yeah, and that's fine. I don't know that they were, but I also don't know that it was a good trade to give up that 3rd and change.
I didn't say that,
Toney.
Josh.
But you said they won it. So that's my question.
They won it.
That all of that being said, this for Hopkins is preemptive result tampering, right? We play the results all the time. In this case, we're playing the results in advance. Yes. If, knock on wood, I'm not predicting this, and I certainly don't want this, if DeAndre Hopkins tears his MCL the rest of the way on Sunday against the Raiders, you've lost a fifth round pick and a very unfortunate end on what I think is a pretty smart gamble. If he is your number 1 receiver from here on out, and you're in the Super Bowl, you're giving up either the 31st or 32nd pick in the 4th round. There'll be some compensatory picks before and after that, so the actual number can change. But I am not sweating the end of the fourth, as Tucker correctly notes, that the reputation around this draft class is that it's a pretty shallow one to this point. So maybe that makes the Chiefs a little less likely to want to give up some of those higher picks, and it makes me even more willing to give away some of those later ones. It is a gamble, it is a risk, but I think it's a smart one.
And see, this is the difference between a team still thinking their season has some viability to it, and they're playing bleeping tonight.
Yeah.
And I need you to eat some of his salary.
Right.
I literally need you to pay David Justice's contract so that he can compete against you in the ALDS.
Yep.
If it all works out. Like and I don't think the Rams were like, I mean, the Rams love Cooper Kupp. I mean, that was some, I can't say too much, kids, but we saw some things. We really saw and heard some things. But Cooper Kupp active tonight, right? Same with Puka Nacua.
Looks like both of them are out there playing catch right now. It's just a second ago.
Right. We believe that getting to the playoffs in the NFC is slightly an easier climb than in the AFC.
That division's weird right now.
Still
got Stafford.
And look, man, Sean McVay gonna dial it up. All right. So you want me to send away Cooper Kupp and pay for him? Can't. No. So I don't think that trade was ever going to happen. So on top of everything you said, Josh, that is the key component. Now DeAndre Hopkins has a manageable contract, and I know some people have asked why that was a difference between him and Devontae Adams, and it's like, well, they were never. That was going to have to be like a 3-team trade, and that usually doesn't happen in the NFL. So can they do more? I know that's been a question in the comments so far. I know Seth's going to come here soon. Not right now. You would need more teams to eat more money, or you would have to wait all the way up until the 5th, is my understanding, to make another move at a receiving position. So, another hypothetical. Let's say Puka Nacua plays well tonight. Let's say Cooper Kupp plays well tonight. Let's say
this is exactly the hypothetical I was about to ask you about.
Let's say they keep playing. They keep staying healthy. They keep running more routes. And that salary gets, you don't have to pay for it that much. Versus today versus November 6th.
Mm-hmm.
Could you eat a small portion and I give you a pick swap for DeMarcus Robinson?
This makes sense now to me, right? Like, you are already onboarding a brand new face in your offense, although I thought Andy Reid had a very good line on DeAndre Hopkins here that I can read in a little bit too. But you do still, I know we don't have to go completely far afield to the entire room, because again, Seth's going to hop in and we'll do some of the tape look as well. But Sky Moore going into IR 22 minutes after the trade is official, after not being on the injury report for any reason yesterday. I'm not saying anything about how that happened.
I'm sorry. There's someone just off camera, and I am not authorized to discuss anything regarding Sky Moore.
Yep, and neither am I, which is why I'm just noting that 22 minutes after the Hopkins trade was official, Sky Moore was put on IR due to a core muscle injury. Andy Reid said he'll need to get that fixed, implying some sort of surgery. He was a full participant. He had no designation on Wednesday's practice, so it's not like he was on there and it was like full participant abdomen, right? Which happens all the time. Justin Reid, I think, for most of the season now has been hand full participant since his, he was gushing blood out of his hand that one time or whatever. So, somebody called it a boo-boo. I think Dave Tobe called it I don't know. He's had some very dismissive way of describing it. He's on the injury report with a hand, but he's a full participant.
Yes.
Sky Moore did not show up on them. practice report, and I don't know anything beyond that. And so that's the end of my analysis. But I've given you some facts.
Can I give you one bit of? Can I give you one more fact regarding
Yes.
DeAndre Hopkins? I need to
There's
verify this.
there's a red dot on your hat right now. I just would be careful.
Okay, no. Again, this is not Sky Moore related. Put it down.
Okay, great.
At ease. Okay, it's about DeAndre Hopkins. As I look at it right now, unless they done forgot that they traded for him, I don't see DeAndre Hopkins on the injury report. Josh.
Ah. Huh. Huh.
Mike Dana, pectoral, didn't practice.
Yep.
Juju Smith-Schuster, hamstring, didn't practice. Kareem Hunt, hip. Leo Chenal, shoulder. I mean, obviously, Leo Chenal and shoulders. I mean, he ain't never getting off the injury report.
His shoulders are never going back to factory settings.
No. McCole Hardman, knee. Jaden Hicks, ankle. Derek Nottie, triceps. Jared Wiley, Achilles. Justin Reed, hand. Those are your Kansas City Chiefs injury report. I do not see DeAndre Hopkins, even though I saw him today on the practice field. So he did participate, as one would believe, in full.
So you telling me he's going to end up on IR tomorrow with some mystery surgery? Oh no!
You asked me about the knee. He's a full
there's no DeAndre Hopkins
knee.
Okay,
right.
Interesting.
Hey, rub that knee real nice, and I can be a full participant today. Okay, now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to let you ask me a specific question about receivers. Go ahead right now. Ask me anything about the receivers in this freaking lovely comment section.
In the chat?
Fantastic.
Yeah,
in the chat. Ask me anything, and I will go rapid fire with the understanding that it was supposed to be, it was a hope. I think my reporting was legitimate at the time that, yes, don't look at anybody 30 and older. Circumstances changed because I need you to eat some money, and some teams are stupid enough to not get involved when their season is over.
While the chat catches up and while the questions come in rapid fire, I'm going to give you another opportunity that's not related to asking Nate any questions, but it might get you a little closer to DeAndre Hopkins, because you, Chiefs fans, you could be on the field at the 50 inside GEHA field for the official coin toss at a Chiefs home game this season. Just visit Chiefs.com/GEHA right now. You can enter to win a chance to be on the field for the March to the three-peat. Plus, you can score other exclusive prizes. All you got to do to enter for a chance to win is go to Chiefs.com/GEHA. That's Chiefs.com/GEHA. Check out all the details, the info you need. It's all online there. Chiefs.com/GEHA. GEHA is the proud partner of the Kansas City Chiefs. All right, Nate, you've got the questions. You got the comment section. Who's brought some heat for you? Who do you need to answer?
Josh Holden asks, will Sky be on the team next year? Based on his contract, no. Do they go for one more? Maybe. As we just talked about before, things have to go a certain way between now and November 5th, but it'll probably be closer to November than anything now or next week. Hill or Lattimore coming? No. Are we getting another receiver? Will they go back to Deontay? I think in the offseason when he's a free agent.
Interesting. Huh.
If he's a free agent, if no one, now this is where it gets fascinating. Like if somebody else trades for him, and then obviously there's the potential of, which is what we've talked about before. Like, hey, if you trade for him, maybe you give him a nice contract, not top of the market, but really nice to retain his services. Is Ross the next Dwayne Bowe? No.
He's wearing 82 now, by the way, if you didn't know. DeAndre Hopkins is now wearing 8. Justin Ross is now wearing 82.
KL368 asks, best Cavs in the wide receiver room. That, of course, would be McCole Hardman. Thomas Lester asks, Nico, yes or no for Sunday? Me personally, yes, because you need another returner, especially if you're going to be asking more from McCole Hardman, which I think they should. Again, you're maybe asking 15 20 snaps out of DeAndre Hopkins if everything goes like perfectly well. And he doesn't make any mistakes, or there's no like miscommunication on the field, because again, like he's basically being sped up through all of this. Who has the nicest eyes? Nico Remigio. I mean, come on. Who gets elevated? It should be Nico Remigio. It might be Justin Ross. Who knows? Kind of depends on.
Can I interject on that question? In addition to your special teams thing, the only other thing this team ever seemed to actually like for Sky Moore to do was block. And we watched Justin Ross try to block in the preseason. It didn't go well. And Nico Remigio is not a very large fella. Beautiful eyes, not very big. So I don't know if there is a solution to that, because there's not a whole lot of outside blocking talent down the depth chart at the moment.
D-Lock asks, if you had to start a wide receiver in fantasy, who would it be? I'm assuming it's this week. I'm assuming it's someone on the team. They are going to try to go bombs away on Xavier Worthy. You can book it, kids. Yeah. You have to. And again, he'll be on the field the majority of the time. Hollywood in late December, potentially. Andy Reid did not shoot that down. It's one of the things I reported originally when he was put on IR, is that, hey, best case scenario, mid-December to late December, that's your opening. Because again, you might not have to play everybody against the Denver Broncos in early January, because you may have locked up the 1 seed, which kind of defeats the purpose of building on-field chemistry with Patrick Mahomes against a live, breathing opponent. Is that it? I think that might be it. Blocking, that's Cornell Powell music. I mean, veteran.
Whoa, he's back.
Veteran knows where he's gonna be. Knows the plays. Lines up correctly.
Yeah. Damn, that's a good call. Actually, I forgot. I didn't mention that he's back on the practice squad, but he is.
That's right. Are they going to use Worthy in the run game more? No. I would say
you just can't let it. You just can't let him get killed.
Right, and we saw him get. I mean, I think that's something that it's not deniable anymore. It's unassailable. Like, one of the toughest players on the team is a rookie wide receiver who weighs less than anybody else on the team. The kid is so tough. He does not miss games. He's more durable than you give him credit for. He still can just run by anybody if given the opportunity. And look, they're obviously going to put more of a burden on his shoulders as the season moves along. I asked about receivers, Matthew, who asked Trey Smith contract extension. Guys, prepare yourself for Trey Smith to be worth all the money.
Yeah. All
of it. Okay. So again, that could change, but I don't have anything on Trey Smith. I'm sorry. He's been playing very, very good football, which means you probably get paid top of the market at your position if you get to free agency. Did D-Hop do an Adams? Great question. Yes and no. He's not an asshole, so no. Yes, I asked him a question today about being traded previously in his career, and he, interestingly enough, as I'm sure you heard, Josh, distinguished the two. They sent me to Arizona, dog, because I said, I don't want to be with you no more.
He went really far out of his way to, by name, thank GM Rand Carthen for sending him to Kansas City and not somewhere else.
Yes. So
he also, as I imagine, probably didn't make Titans fans feel great. Correctly noted that he hasn't played, quote, meaningful football since he was in Arizona for the beginning of that season. They started 8-0, I think he said.
Yep.
Meaningful football.
Meaningful. So, he did the best he could with the maximizing his earning potential in 2023 with that contract from Tennessee. It's a new administration, so they want to do right by him. They want that to show for other talented wide receiver veterans, or just talented veterans in the league, that we will treat you right if given the opportunity to trade you for a legitimate asset. So again, small golf clap to Tennessee for recognizing our season is over, because guys, my editor, Mike Samsoni, asked me yesterday to watch every route that DeAndre Hopkins ran. Mm-hmm. It hurt my soul.
Yeah.
It really hurt my soul. I know Seth's going to come in at some point. I don't know if he watched all 6 of these games, but dog, can you imagine cooking Sauce Gardner, Josh, and no one recognizing it, no one realizing it, because the quarterback can't get the ball out of his hands.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine running wide open free against the Packers? Hell, even against the Bills to some extent.
It doesn't seem like he was the problem.
No. He's not like elite DeAndre Hopkins with, Arizona early in that season, or, obviously with the Houston Texans, but like he can still get open, and he should have more stats. He should have more touchdowns. I actually think watching their offense, I was like, there's something here. Okay. I see what you do. Now I understand why you want to mother bleep that quarterback every game.
And it's turned into just like pure raw disappointment too.
Yes.
It's just like, I just can't believe you're doing this to me.
Yes, they started Mason Rudolph. Yes, they started Mason Rudolph for what you just said, Josh.
Yeah.
I can't do it anymore. I can't do it anymore. And then how much are we down by? Take me off the field, man. Please do right by me. Please. So again, congratulations to the Tennessee Titans in a culture change, roster change, rebuilding. He ain't gonna be our quarterback very soon. Let's get as many assets as we can. And so yeah, he did do a Devontae Adams, but he really didn't, because the organization was like, yeah, we get it, we understand, and also not an asshole in public, man. And I don't really want to do that when you're freaking Aaron Rodgers is blowing up my phone. Can you imagine how many times Aaron Rodgers? I mean, I know this can't happen, ladies and gentlemen, because that would be a legal issue from the league standpoint. But can you imagine the text from another text about Aaron Rodgers requesting that? Where is he? Is he on the plane already? Oh, he just happened to be in the facility the next day. What?
I have cleaned out my guest room. I have hung his own old high school football jerseys in here. I just want him to feel comfortable. I have put a Taco Bell in my house. Speaking of character concerns and really doing whatever it takes to get things your way, we'll take a time out here, and then maybe we'll hear from Seth Kaiser on the other side of the break.
We appreciate you supporting KC Sports Network by listening to our podcast. You have helped us become the highest-ranked Chiefs podcast network in 2022 and 2023. And don't forget about our daily Substack newsletter, the best written analysis you can find on the Chiefs straight to your inbox every day. kcsn.substack.com.
I love a great deal as much as the next guy, but I'm not going to crawl through a bed of hot coals just to save a few bucks. It has to be easy. No hoops, no BS. So when Mint Mobile said it was easy to get wireless for $15 a month with the purchase of a 3-month plan, I called them on it. And turns out it really is that easy to get wireless for $15 a month. The longest part of the process was the time I spent on hold waiting to break up with my old provider. To get started, go to mintmobile.com/KCSNOWG. There you'll see that right now, all 3-month plans are only $15 a month, including the unlimited plan. To get this new customer offer in your new 3-month premium wireless plan for just $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/KCSNOWG. That's mintmobile.com/KCSNOWG. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/KCSNOWG. $45 upfront payment required, equivalent to $15 a month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See Mint Mobile for details.
Look at that. I threw the ball up and hoped that somebody had come down with it. I did not know that Seth would actually be on the line. In fact, I had pulled up our text thread so I could describe the exact issue of why Seth might not be here on the other side of the break. But he showed up just for DeAndre Hopkins. Seth, your initial feel on this was something bordering on lukewarm, and maybe you found a little joy in the move as you went through the film review.
I found joy.
What is wrong with your microphone, man?
Oh, no. Is it bad?
It's like it's coming through something else, or it's got a different. Yeah, check your input on the software there.
Oh,
Can I-
good. Well, I'm glad to have made
While
it.
you
Can
do
I-
that, go ahead,
Yeah,
Nate.
go ahead. Okay, Beavis. Okay, guys, stop asking. Which is to say, keep asking. Now,
Better?
No,
a little bit.
same, exactly the same.
Okay, sorry. Someone, I can't look it up here. I thought I had it up here. Oh yes. Seamus Levin asked, didn't Sky Moore mysteriously have a core injury go on IR last year? I see it. Stop asking me because they write. I mean,
Did he really? I didn't remember that. That's
right off camera. You ask me these questions because I always know.
yeah.
Again, in the same game where the one touchdown last year, where a skill position player high pointed a ball in the end zone, while Clyde Edwards-Helaire was doing that to the New England Patriots, at some point in the fourth quarter, Sky Moore had a knee injury, and then on my flight back from Boston was put on IR with said knee injury. I have talked to Nick Jacobs and Matt Derrick about this. I have looked at the all 22. I can't find where that injury happened.
I believe it. Is that any better?
No, it's not. This is exactly the same. It was never using your microphone. It's always just been doing whatever this is, which I assume is one can and a piece of string plugged into a USB port.
This is what I used on vacation. All right, I'm going to go out and try one more time.
I think you use different headphones then. Maybe it's using your headphones plugged directly in there. It's fine. We can sit through it. We just might need to Nate and I might need to play ISO ball.
Now,
Here's the one thing that I was going to add from context of Andy Reid that we mentioned earlier while Seth checks his inputs again. Reid specifically mentioned Juju and Rashee Rice when he talked about kind of the expectations for where Hopkins might fit in, talked about him in space a little bit. But one of the things that we've talked about so much is the Chiefs' preference for reuniting with guys who know the system. Obviously, DeAndre Hopkins has not played in Andy Reid's offense, but this is his 12th year in the NFL. And Reid's quote here, actually, there's a second one. First of all, him just on playing against the Raiders, saying, why wait, right? He seemed downright giddy for parts of the presser today. I enjoyed watching Andy Reid be happy about having a new toy in the offense. But then the specific phrasing was about the onboarding process for DeAndre Hopkins. He said, you start kind of from the bottom of just the snap count part of it and work your way up through. But he's seen enough. He's been around it long enough to where it's more of a dialect than a language that he has to learn. And we've understood a little bit of that when we talked about the Giants receivers. They might come in and they kind of know most of the language, but they'd still need some time to learn the dialect. Frankly, yes. I think DeMarcus Robinson, he knows the language, but the dialect is different than whenever he was here 4 or 5 years ago. Whenever some things have changed since then. But yes. Hearing Reid say that, I just think is good context for these conversations about acquisitions and getting up the speed and everything. DeAndre Hopkins is going to be able to plug into this offense a whole lot quicker than Kadarius Toney was. That should not alarm or surprise anybody. Did we lose Seth permanently here, do we think?
I don't know if we lost him permanently, but I understand. I understand, ladies and gentlemen, I know you're asking, didn't Sky Moore play in the Super Bowl? Yes and no. Okay, was he rewarded by being in uniform for last year's Super Bowl? I don't know, but he was in uniform for last year's Super Bowl. Ask me how many snaps did Sky Moore play in the Super Bowl. I don't know. It wasn't a lot. Maybe 0. He was the emergency receiver. They actually picked Sky Moore over Kadarius Toney.
Over Kadarius Toney. My God, you're right. It was Clyde 2 years? Holy smokes.
Yeah.
These Super Bowls all run together. These suspicious injuries in Super Bowls all really run together.
Yep. Remember when Kadarius Toney told us he was healthy, fully healthy, and they were like, Sky, get out there. So yes, Andy Reid alluded to it or teased it. I don't know how Tucker wants to describe it, but yeah, he said he will need to get that fixed, and he was a full participant in practice yesterday. So somewhere along the time of 4 p.m. yesterday and 4 a.m. today, something might have happened. Okay, get the questions off of my face. Okay, I've said it. I've said too much. What you got, son? What hurts? What hurts? Anything hurt?
Hey, now he and DeAndre Hopkins have Kobe's numbers. That counts for something, right?
Yeah. Of course.
So I don't know if we're getting Seth back or not. He has not yet rejoined or responded to that text. So we'll figure that out. I would love to let him talk about what Hopkins can do for this offense. But you did watch all the film. I have read Seth's work and have done a little extra looking at what Hopkins has done beyond that too. There are a lot of places here where it does seem like a pretty hand-in-glove fit. Again, in part, Andy talking about what Juju and Rice were able to do in the short and intermediate and specifically in space. It is funny that for all the times, and Reed has talked about this a few occasions this year, more than I remember him doing it in the past, talking about the guy playing off of Kelsey. Hopkins, also over 30, also maybe at this point better in finding space, but he is still creating it in man. I don't want it. This is not a not a 35-year-old DeAndre Hopkins, however that guy might look. But having somebody who can play off of Kelsey, that Juju seems like should still be back at some point, just certainly not this week. He's not on IR right now.
Like two to 3 weeks, somewhere in there.
You got to assume less than 4, because if it was going to be 4 or longer, they should have freed up the roster spot, and they wouldn't have had to have allegedly done anything with Sky Moore today.
And if they win on Sunday against the Raiders, you could give him maybe another week just to ensure that it doesn't keep, being aggravated from here on out.
100%.
Obviously, hamstrings are tricky. So, you play against the Raiders. Then I believe they have the the poor Buccaneers without Mike.
Oh, Monday Night Bucks. That's next. You're right.
Without Mike Evans, without Chris Godwin. And then, again, maybe Juju will be targeting his return on November 10th after the trade deadline against the Denver Broncos.
But the idea of Hopkins being a little bit of space taking in front of Xavier Worthy, keeping him clean at the line of scrimmage, being able to be the guy opposite of a trips over a bunch on the other side. The Chiefs haven't had a guy like DeAndre Hopkins in this offense under Patrick Mahomes. I mean, I don't know who the best comp was. And there aren't a lot of guys who are exactly like DeAndre Hopkins, but
hey, their names are Kelvin Benjamin,
right,
and
Josh Gordon. Yeah. So,
I mean, I'm sorry to those gentlemen. They were great players in their time.
Well,
but when they got to Patrick Mahomes, it was a little too late. Kelvin Benjamin and Josh Gordon.
And I want the one and only Seth Kaiser of the Chief in the North newsletter, who wrote about DeAndre Hopkins, did a film review, and is allegedly available for us to use. I would love to know if Mr. Kaiser believes that there is that it's not too late for DeAndre Hopkins and that there is something for him to add to this crew.
I may have some thoughts on that.
Hey!
It's not as good as your microphone, but it's better than the last one. I'll take it.
All right, let's do this. Sorry to everyone. The day job has been a bit of a bear this week, and so I'm actually at a conference, and, well, either that or I've been locked up. It's definitely one of the two. DeAndre Hopkins, let's talk about him. I watched every single route that he's run in the 2024 season, and I wrote about it. Shout out to the NFL for making NFL Pro a significantly better product than it used to be.
No shout out to Will Levis for making that viewing experience a better product.
Holy smokes. However bad you think it was worse, because not only was it bad in the sense that Will Levis was really bad, it was also bad in the sense that Mason Rudolph was really bad, and it was also bad in the sense that they were bad in very different ways. Will Levis is like, you know what I'm going to do? I am going to throw it as hard as I can that way. And let's just see what happens. And Mason Rudolph, in the meantime, was like, why would I ever throw the football? What a weird thing to do. Like,
two of the three things that happen when I throw the football are bad.
I was watching a couple quarterbacks run around, and they ran the ball a lot. And if Lamar can do it, I don't see why I can't. Except I'm much slower and less athletic and also not nearly as good a thrower. And so it doesn't work out well. Plus, if you watch the Titans offense, it actually shook me up when I saw like it was an incomplete attempt I saw a C Ridley, and I was like,
Yes.
wait, that's Calvin Ridley. Then I saw another one to a T Boyd, and I was like, wait a minute, hang on. This offense has DeAndre Hopkins, Calvin Ridley, and Tyler Boyd, and it looks like this. It was sad. It was awful to watch. It was not particularly well run. DeAndre Hopkins would win against zone coverage, and then like have his hands like my hands were when I was trying to figure out my mic situation, and he's just like, buddy, why aren't you throwing me the ball? Or like on the play calling side of things, they dial up a man coverage look against Hopkins, and he'd win on a quick slant because he's a big dude. He's got a ton of length. When guys try to press him, he'll create separation. We'll come back to that in a second here. And he'd catch an easy 8-yard slant for a first down. And then they'd have him run no slants the rest of the game. And I was watching that, and I was like, but why would you do that? Like, that doesn't make sense to me. But these things happen. Here's the thing with Hopkins. Again, I'm sorry I'm late. If any of this is, going back on things you guys have already said, I'm sorry. But I'm not sorry.
And it would be the first time that this show has overstated and restated itself. I think you're fine.
That's absolutely true. So when I wrote about, the Chiefs need to trade for a wide receiver, DeAndre Hopkins was one of 4 that I named. And I said they should. I don't know if I'd part with more than like a 6-rounder or something like that. I hadn't really watched much of his film. It was more based on statistical analysis. Now I've had a chance to look at the film. Had I looked at his film more in depth, I would have easily said, yeah, fit that could turn into a 4th. Absolutely, on a 1-year rental. He's definitely still got juice left. He can separate against man coverage, not like he could at his apex, okay? He is not like a man coverage separator, and I'm going to use names that might hurt to hear. He's not a man coverage separator as good as Amari Cooper is, or Deontay Johnson. He's not. Is he significantly better than anyone on the Chiefs roster? Yes. Is he above average at it? Yes, especially at the shallow and intermediate levels. And the reason he's so good at it is that even though he's not a great athlete, this is the part of his career that he kind of benefits. He was never a great athlete. The man ran a 4.6 40 when he was like 21 or 20, whenever
Game speed.
And he's always, and we'll come to the deep speed thing here in a minute. Here's what he's got. He's got great feet. And I know people love it when I talk like that. But the short story is his cuts have zero wasted movement. He never does anything more than he needs to do when he is cutting inside, cutting outside, setting a guy up. You see a lot of guys. Sky Moore's an example of this. I hate to pick on him. He's on IR. I hope he heals from his sudden injury. Wow, you guys look so cynical. So the thing with Hopkins, with Moore, one of the things that really gets in his way, there's a lot of unnecessary movement. McCole Hardman has this too on his routes. You never see it with Hopkins. And what that means is if you're a corner and you don't know what direction guys are turning, any step they waste is a preview. It's a moment for you to process and a moment for you to catch up. If a guy doesn't waste any steps, that makes it tough. And so a guy that's not that quick can look extremely quick. That's how Travis Kelce has been destroying guys in man coverage for years because he's a great route runner. DeAndre Hopkins is a great route runner, particularly shallow and intermediate. The other thing that he's got going for him is he puts corners in a bit of a bind. You want to watch him win some one-on-one man coverage matchups. Watch him against the Jets, who have a pair of great man corners. Sauce Gardner did not want to put his hands on Hopkins. Sauce is one of the most physical corners in the league. The problem for corners when they put their hands on Hopkins, he's got like 33.5, 34-inch arms. That's like you're approaching tackle length right there. Not quite, but long enough to play the position if you wanted to. And he's strong and he's physical. So if you try to put your hands on him, he's great with his hand placement as well. He's just as likely to push you off him and throw you off your rhythm rather than the other way around. One of my very favorite routes, and it's there in the article. Check it out, Chief of North Newsletter. I stayed up till God knows when writing it. So please, for the love of God, go read it. He had a route where he was lined up on the boundary as kind of the point man in a stack alignment, meaning he had another receiver lined up behind him and he's on the line of scrimmage. Gee, I wonder if they'll need to do that with Xavier Worthy from time to time. Who's to say? Anyway, he runs a quick pick on the guy playing man coverage on the guy behind him. Gee, I wonder if they'll do that with Xavier Worthy. Who's to say? And then he gets into his route. He attacks Sauce's body. Sauce tries to get hands on him. And then, so he's on the right boundary. And he gets his left arm, so his inside arm, on Sauce and throws him a little bit to the side, towards the outside. Starts to turn inside. Sauce, who's a good corner, understands, oh, he's trying to throw me outside. He's turning inside. I'm going to go on there. And then Hopkins immediately turns outside. We talk about, and Gardner's, I mean, he's just completely shook. He's wrong-footed. He's going the wrong direction. Hopkins gets easy separation. He must have gotten the ball right. No, he sure didn't. I don't know where the quarterback did with the ball during there, but it was, you could see on some snaps Hopkins' soul leave his body. Just like, come on, man, throw me the ball. Like, please? Where's Ryan Tannehill? Like, he's just looking around wondering where is an adult to throw him the football. We talk about pass rush with a plan with some frequency. Route running, one of the things that's made Travis Kelce, and that's a comp you should really keep in mind when you're thinking about DeAndre Hopkins. A wide receiver version, okay, of Travis Kelce. He runs routes with a plan. He's not just getting hands on the corner to get hands on the corner and see if he can shake him loose and then see where to go from there. He's thinking, all right, I'm going to get this inside arm on him, throw him outside. He's going to try to recover outside. And in the meantime, I'm going to be turning, or he's going to try to come inside. I'm going to turn back outside. You see that in him. And that's how he's able to separate shallow and intermediate with some consistency. Is it high level or elite against man? No. Is it above average? Yes. Is above average against man coverage something the Chiefs have been desperate for since 2021? Absolutely. They didn't have that in 2022. And they didn't have that last year, and they haven't had that this year. That's one of the reasons they went and got Hollywood Brown, who has a great score against man coverage in terms of his separation ability. Against zone, he's everything that you'd expect. All the things that we say about Juju Smith-Schuster, just as true about Hopkins, except Hopkins looks like, which is funny because he's 32 and Juju's 27, Hopkins looks like he's got a little more oomph in his routes. I never realized this before. My comp for how Hopkins runs his routes is Isaiah Pacheco running the ball. He has really violent strides as he goes. Sammy Watkins back in the day, before his knees kind of got a little messed up. Now, not as explosive as pre-knee injury Sammy Watkins, because that guy was a freak. But he's got a little more explosiveness than Juju, but he gets to the right spots. He makes good sight adjustments. He finds the gaps. He presents at the right moment. He knows when to speed up and slow down his route. I think he'll gain Patrick Mahomes' trust against zone very quickly. These are all good news things. I'm not even talking about ball skills because it's DeAndre Hopkins. No one has a question about that. I think I wrote in the article that no one's reading this to have me tell you DeAndre Hopkins has good ball skills and water is wet. Like, we all know that. The thing for me is, okay, what do the Chiefs need? The Chiefs need a guy who can run their stuff against zone looks, make good sight adjustments, have good spacing on their various pick plays and that sort of stuff. But what they need even more is a guy who can separate and win one-on-one matchups. He can do that. And because of that, he can drag coverage in a way that Juju Smith-Schuster can't. Downside, he's not a 3-level player anymore. When he goes down the field, I didn't see a lot of separation there the way he used to. Now, maybe
now Patrick Mahomes isn't a 3-level player anymore either, so that's actually okay.
Yeah. 18 to 20 is where he's going to top off.
Oh, yeah. And so he used to be able to separate down the field. He had downfield speed even if he didn't have a good 40 time. That's gone. Guys can stay in his hip pocket. Now, for him, open means something very different than it does for other guys. If he has any leverage, if he just has his corner stacked, even if that corner is right next to him, he can still bring down a ball that other guys just cannot. Think of it as like the opposite of Xavier Worthy, okay? The good news for the Chiefs is that the skill set they need, they don't really need. Would it be nice to have a 3-level guy? Absolutely, yes. That versatility to be able to move Worthy around as well would be great. But right now they have a legitimate deep threat in Worthy. They need Hopkins to be Juju plus, right? And not like Juju plus 2024. I mean, Juju plus 2022. On film, so far this year, he is a better player against man coverage in particular by a fairly sizable margin than Juju Smith-Schuster 2022 was. It's a really good fit. I'm very happy with it. I'm not like over the moon the way I would be with Deontay Johnson in terms of a fit standpoint and in terms of, long term, in terms of how dominant he can be against man looks. But I'm very happy with it, and I think he should be able to hit the ground running. Whew.
We're very
Worth
near
the
the
wait.
end. We're very near the end of the entire show here, and so I will happily just send you off on the high of coming in, dropping a whole bunch of knowledge, telling people to read the newsletter, and then dipping again. But since you are wearing black, I assume you wanted to go ahead and pick against the Chiefs again this week too.
Oh man, the amount of I was once told, and by told I mean heard in a Reliant case on,
Hell yeah.
the beauty of grace is that it makes life not fair. And the amount of grace that I've been given for departing from my normal, and this is actually a really, really dark blue, but it does look black in the lighting I'm in. And I like to wear dark colors because it's easier than working out. So
sure.
I appreciate the grace from our listeners. I don't know what happened to me. I, much like the prodigal son, I took my inheritance, I went, I left, I lived foolishly, spent foolishly, bet on non-Chiefs wins. But now, I'm coming down the road, baby. I'm coming back. And our listeners
We don't want you.
They've been looking for me. They saw me coming from a distance, and they didn't just wait for me to come to them. You guys ran out to meet me. Now, not Josh and Nate. I assume I'm going to continue to take abuse from them on this side. They're the older brothers. They're the older brothers that were there this whole time that are saying, why are you celebrating the return of the prodigal son? I just appreciate the grace that I've gotten. Never again. You will never hear me pick against the Chiefs again. That may or may not be true. But I've learned my lesson this time. So in terms of Chiefs Raiders, this is actually the first game of the season, I think, that I think...
It's not. It's the 8th, I believe.
Oh, man.
8th week, 7th game for the Chiefs.
I despise you. I don't remember what video clip of something I watched that captured our energy so well, but I gotta send that to you sometime because it was just two dudes being so mean to each other, and and it was mean in a really fun way. I think it was the guys who play Nick and Schmidt on New Girl just getting after each other, and it was the funniest thing. Those who are asking, I'm coming back to Arrowhead on Black Friday, the day after Thanksgiving. I'm gonna bring my 13-year-old son Cole to a game, but this is the first game of the season in which I have a feeling that I think this is going to be a Chiefs blowout. The Raiders are a bad team, and division games are always weird. And we saw on Christmas...
Name one time.
I've seen... I know we all saw on Christmas where the Chiefs looked terrible against the Raiders with the same coach that they have now. I would just say... their game plan for that to try to suffocate everything shallow. I think you might see in this game, I think you might see legitimately 6 or 7 deep shots to Xavier Worthy. And I think they'll try to do everything they can to get DeAndre Hopkins on the field just to start pushing. It's like, oh, you're going to do this whole, hey, we're going to halo Kelsey really aggressively and try to suffocate guys in man. Hey, DeAndre, this is why we brought you in, buddy. And I also think there's just no way the entire team doesn't remember that Christmas beatdown, feeling embarrassed. They've talked about it today, how it was kind of a wake-up call. I had a lot of words in me, I'm sorry. They talked about all that from the podium. There's also no way that, and I see in the comments now, Nate Dogg, it's going to get handled. Paul Mahomes, the puppet master. There is no way, I wish this was at Arrowhead, but it's not. There is no way Mahomes, who hasn't played his best ball this year, is not psychotically frothing at the mouth for this game. Because now we've had, I know there's a quote from, I think it was Jones. I think it was the guy that got the pick 6 against him last year, Jack Jones, who's, nobody in this locker room's afraid of him. And that's great. Good for you. The Bengals said similar things before their matchup this year, and Mahomes wasn't great in that game, but he was good enough to beat you. And unlike the Bengals, the Raiders aren't that good. So I think this is one where I think this is going to be a multi-touchdown Chiefs blowout. I think Mahomes is going to throw. He might throw another unlucky pick or 2, but I think he's going to throw 3 or 4 touchdowns. I think this will be the week where things start to. I've never seen national coverage of a 6-0 team. And it's been back and forth because there's some people that say it one way or another. Some people say another way. But I've never seen quite so much like, are we sure they have it? Unlike the team that they just beat like 5 weeks ago. It's like, I'm seeing people like, I don't know if the Chiefs can handle this year's Ravens. I'm like, if only there was some way of determining that. Alas. And so I think all of those things are going to combine. I think if the Chiefs are going to snap into it before the playoffs, this would be the time. So I think the Chiefs win. I think the Chiefs put up 30 plus. I think it's going to be a great game to watch. A really relaxing one by early fourth quarter, maybe late third quarter.
Well, at this point, I'm just hoping that Tucker hits a big red button and that Tucker can be my escape from the remainder of this Seth Kaiser experience. Thank you, Seth.
Hey, do you know what you are getting yourself into? Thanks, guys.
That joke would have been even more relevant 5 minutes ago, but Seth had a very long prediction to give, and I'm glad that I'm glad that he did. I don't want to be getting a text from Seth like, "Oh, did I talk too much?" No, you talked a great amount. We just had the schedule we had today.
Yes.
Nate, why don't you go ahead and tell me from your side? Give me something to keep an eye on in Chiefs Raiders. We've spent rightfully the enormous majority of this show on DeAndre Hopkins today. Tell me something about the Raiders. Tell me something we got to be keeping an eye on going into this game.
So I'm trying to do a little bit of research here. Did Max Crosby play last week, right? Did that happen?
I think so.
Yeah.
I haven't heard
One
anything. What's
sack.
the...
He did not participate in today's practice. I don't know if that's
Oh.
a usual Thursday thing, but that's one of the if you were watching, I had a reaction
Okay, I see that now. Yeah.
earlier where Max Crosby is not a participant. Same with let me scroll here.
Jacoby Myers did not participate.
Yeah, right.
Max Crosby did not participate. Interesting.
Yeah. So again, Max didn't participate in last Thursday's practice. I wanted to just get
Okay.
a
He was
good
full
look.
yesterday and then out completely today. That's an ankle, technically.
Yes, which was the same. Yeah, it was the same thing he had last week where he didn't participate Wednesday or Thursday. Now, the reason why this is important is Max Crosby's clearly their best player. Guys,
Yeah.
we cannot stress that enough. But for him to practice and then not practice today, I don't know what that's about. But obviously he played pretty good against the Rams. So yeah, I don't know what that is. I know some people in the comments are saying he's trying to get out of Vegas, which I don't know about that one, guys. He's their best player. But I think one thing to watch too, on top of all of this, is what have I been telling you? When they get between the 10-yard line and the goal line, Josh.
Kareem Hunt run the ball?
Nope, that is not happening. Get it out of here.
Okay. Does Carson Steele run the ball? Oh.
I love you, but
Patrick Mahomes run the ball.
Stop it, okay?
Carson Wentz hand off the ball.
Now we might be getting into
now
something.
We're talking.
Now we're in range. Kids, I told Clint before the game against the 49ers that they were going to run a shits and giggles play. Then they did.
Yeah.
So they obviously have to. Yeah. Now you're telling me Seth thinks they're going to win in a blowout. They have all the motivation, right? Christmas Day, Kermit the Frog.
Can I get, what do you think the odds are for a Leo Chanel anytime touchdown?
Oh.
Can I get $2 on this to win a lot of money?
Sure. All I'm saying is, guys, put it down in pen. If they get anywhere close to the goal line but are not in the end zone, what kind of nonsense are they going to run that is going to try to embarrass the Vegas Raiders? I don't know what it's going to be, but I'm sure they practiced it.
Yes.
And so That's just something to keep in mind. Like, to Seth's point, from a perception standpoint and to get revenge, this has all the makings of, oh yeah, that's right, we can score in the high 30s. And oh, by the way, look at this new shiny toy that's DeAndre Hopkins. And did you see what they did to them in the red zone? That's kind of the discussion reaction they want. Yes, Jim here mentions snow globe. Never forget, guys. You want to circle the stadium? Cool. Just wait till we get back to Vegas. So I don't know what's gonna happen. I have no idea. I just understand that Leo Chenal anytime touchdowns. Of all weeks, this is the week where it makes the most sense.
Yeah, I think that's a great call. I might pull back just a smidge on the best offensive performance, easygoing offensive performance of the year, largely because, as you mentioned, if we get 10 or 15 DeAndre Hopkins snaps, I think everybody ought to be pretty happy with that. They should be able to run the ball still consistently if they want to just do the boring thing between the 20s. But if there's anything that the Raiders, assuming health, they do have a couple of legitimate defensive stars on the defensive line. That counts for something. And so I'm not sure if a passing game where McCole Hardman and Justin Watson each get 80% of the snaps this week, I don't know that that's going to be bombs away. I do buy S's and G's in the red zone, looking for Xavier Worthy and trying to make that a part of the takeaway from the game as well. Yep. And boy, howdy, I wouldn't suggest it unless you're just trying to get in the Halloween mood because it's a horror movie. The Raiders offense is not a fun hang right now. It is not a good time. It is not a good environment. It's not going to score points against this team. So I'm going to go a flat, even 30-10. It does still set the Chiefs' new watermark there. You get some offensive success. That might be a Leo Chenal offensive touchdown and a Leo Chenal defensive touchdown. Because I feel like a defensive or special teams score might also be in the cards here. This is a prime opportunity for the Chiefs defense, I think, to put some things on paper. You get your Xavier Worthy big game. Maybe you get the Josh Gordon touchdown for DeAndre Hopkins. Just like, hey, we're at the goal line. We're just going to pop it right over here. You're going to step in behind a blocker and going to get you a score early on. But I certainly do hope and somewhat expect that this is the closest thing to a laugher we're probably going to get to see, in part, and really mainly, not that it stopped the Raiders at Christmas last year, that offense stinks out loud right now.
Yeah, let's not forget, guys, that the Las Vegas Raiders, in beating the Chiefs, the last team to beat the Chiefs, did not complete a pass after the first quarter.
It's unfathomable.
And won. So, and somehow the offense is worse. Crazy. 34-16, and I think 7 of the 16 is in garbage time.
Yeah. Brock Bowers is good and healthy, right? That's the other thing, is that everybody who is relevant is hurt. Not everybody, but Christian Wilkins and obviously Crosby's a maybe. If they're without them, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, we can't even evaluate Brock Bowers because he ain't got no quarterback. I mean,
fair. Yeah.
At least, I mean, I will always hold near and dear to my heart what Brock Bowers did in week 2 against the Baltimore Ravens, where they were like, he's not supposed to be this good this soon. And it's like, you might want to cover him.
Yeah.
Like, don't they have Devontae Adams? Yeah. But Brock Bowers was great in that game. And since then, the Raiders have been not good.
I enjoy the Gardner Minshew experience as an unaffiliated spectator. I'm not even sure I want to watch him play against. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. But we'll keep our eyes on Xavier Worthy, DeAndre Hopkins, and Leo Chenal. There's your 3 little unofficial, not financial advice, nonsense, anytime touchdown suggestions for you. Please don't bet them, and if you do bet them, at least don't blame me for whatever happens, or credit me if it works out. I don't want your credit. On that note, Nate, we're well over an hour. Most of it was about DeAndre Hopkins. The Chiefs have a real number 1 receiver, even though he is over 30, and it seems like the comment section may have let you live that down by the 70-minute mark. Actually, the 69-minute mark. Nice, everybody. Get us out of here, Nate.
Thank you all. Just a quick housekeeping thing. The last time as my computer tells me, the last time the Raiders won a game, Deshaun Watson was the opposing quarterback.
Woo!
I'm just here to tell you insightful information. The last time the Raiders beat someone, Deshaun Watson was on the other side of the field in uniform playing quarterback. So let's end it here, kids. There's a time where something's got to be done. And it's got to be done. And it's got to be done. And it's like, it's okay, and sometimes it's okay to give the playbook. But it's worse when they say, no, leave that. We gotta talk to you. Now look, the stats have informed me that Wanya Morris has more receiving yards than you. There's a gentleman here to my left with a pen and paper, and he would like you to point to something. Did you ever tell him the time about Rick? Oh, there was a time. Okay. You know what? Come on, sit down. Sit down. Okay, there was a time where this guy Rick came into the office. I'm not going to tell you his name. This is an alias, but there was a time where he came into the room, and let's just say Rick didn't feel a part of the team, didn't feel a part of the program the way he envisioned. And they told Rick, look, if we cut you now, it's not good for you. It's not good for me. It's not good for anybody. We want to do right by you. We want to do right. We want to be a good organization. So they told Rick, look, either you can say something now that we can point to. It's not for us. It's for the gamblers. It's for the gamblers, remember? In the league. It's really for the gamblers. Hey, man, if you can't give me something, there's Frank in the back. If Frank can make something hurt. So tell me where it hurts.